It began like most cosmic stories do, quietly. No fanfare, no announcement, just a set of images quietly uploaded to a Chinese data server late one night. At first, they looked like nothing unusual, 4 high-resolution frames captured by a deep space telescope array stationed in the high deserts of Xinjiang. But as astronomers studied them, something strange began to emerge. They were images of the interstellar object known as 3I/Atlas, the third confirmed visitor from beyond our solar system. But these weren't ordinary observations. Something about these images was wrong. The shape, the structure, the light. It didn't look like a comet. It didn't look like anything nature would make. For years, astronomers have watched the skies for objects from other star systems, mysterious travelers passing through our cosmic neighborhood before slipping back into the dark. The first was Oumuamua in 2017, a shard of mystery that sliced through the inner planets at impossible speed. Then came 2I/Borisov, a comet trailing a ghostly tail of blue light. And then 3I/Atlas, detected by the Atlas Network in Hawaii, an automated sky survey built to spot dangerous asteroids before they reach us. At first, it seemed routine, just another visitor, harmless and fleeting. But when China's National Space Observatory pointed its advanced wide-field imager at it, the data came back unlike anything they'd ever seen. The object wasn't tumbling. It wasn't spinning chaotically like a normal comet. It was rotating evenly, precisely, as though something were controlling its movement. It wasn't drifting through space. It was navigating. The surface patterns made no sense. Sharp edges, smooth panels, geometric lines traced across a body that should have been rough and eroded by time. It looked less like a rock and more like a relic. When the first scientist processed the enhanced image, she reportedly whispered one word: artificial. That word spread quietly through the halls of observatories and research centers. Within hours, NASA requested access to the raw data. China declined. And just like that, the story changed. This wasn't a discovery anymore. It was a conflict. As word leaked through unofficial channels, the global astronomy community began to unravel. Was it possible? Could this be a machine, a probe, an emissary from somewhere beyond our solar cradle? NASA's public response was calm, measured, bureaucratic. We are reviewing new observational data shared by international partners. But behind the press releases, there was chaos. Within days, senior administrators at NASA resigned. Others were reassigned without explanation. For the first time in decades, the agency's command structure fractured in the middle of a discovery. Something about those images had ignited a storm. In the meantime, China released a second batch of data. This time, not still images, but time-lapse footage. Over several nights, 3I/Atlas pulsed with light. Not sunlight reflected from its surface, but light that came from within. The glow moved in patterns, sequential, repeating, rhythmic, like a signal. Some dismissed it as the natural outgassing of volatile materials as the object neared the sun. Others disagreed, because the pattern wasn't random. It was mathematical, repeating at perfect intervals of 1420 MHz, the hydrogen line. The universal frequency astronomers have always believed other civilizations would use to say we're here. The object wasn't speaking words. It was whispering physics. And then came the strangest part. The object's speed changed. When a body enters the inner solar system, gravity takes over. It accelerates as it falls toward the sun, just as a rock falls toward the earth. But 3I/Atlas didn't accelerate. It slowed down, like something applying brakes, like something choosing to stay. NASA's orbital predictions fell apart. The equations no longer worked. For the first time in modern astronomy, scientists admitted they didn't know what was happening. And as the data chaos unfolded in the United States, China's telescopes captured something new. The object had started to change shape. At first, the alteration was subtle, shadows shifting across its form, edges glinting differently under sunlight. But soon, its geometry seemed to rearrange. Panels rotated, angles folded in on themselves. The object's albedo Its reflectivity fluctuated in ways that defied natural explanation. It wasn't melting. It wasn't fragmenting. It was transforming. Some claimed it was responding to solar radiation, like adaptive shielding. Others whispered a word few dared to say aloud: metamorphosis. By now, the global scientific community was divided into two camps, the believers and the deniers. But both agreed on one thing: this was no ordinary interstellar rock. Something or someone had sent it. Inside NASA, leadership turmoil reached its breaking point. Leaked memos spoke of anomalous external interference and loss of independent telemetry control. The agency's primary monitoring systems went offline for 12 hours, a blackout that coincided perfectly with a new signal detected by China's deep space radio observatories. This signal wasn't faint like before. It was powerful, structured, layered, a resonance of electromagnetic pulses carrying a pattern no one could decode. When the waveform was analyzed, it showed harmonic sequences matching the golden ratio, the same constant found in spiral galaxies, seashells, and DNA. Nature's signature, or perhaps a message written for us. NASA refused to confirm whether they received the same data. But something inside the agency broke that week. Projects were halted. Communications went silent. And the director of planetary science abruptly resigned. The official reason was health complications. But those who worked with him said otherwise. He had been terrified. Meanwhile, 3I/Atlas continued its descent toward the sun, swinging inward just past the orbit of Mars. It should have ignited into a tail of vapor and dust, like every comet before it. Instead, it flared blindingly bright, and then turned black. For several days, it absorbed all visible light, reflecting nothing. It was as if the universe itself had erased it from view. Telescopes around the world went dark. Radar failed to find it. Every instrument that tried to look found nothing. And then, on the fifth day, it reappeared. But not where anyone expected. It was closer, much closer, roughly 2 million kilometers from Earth, a distance so near that planetary defense systems went on alert. But the object wasn't on a collision course. It wasn't falling. It was holding position, stationary, a visitor hovering in the dark between worlds. That night, the Chinese observatory captured another image, the clearest yet. It showed the object's core beginning to open, releasing a faint halo of blue-white light that expanded outward like a ripple across space. Inside the glow, faint symbols, geometric patterns, appeared and vanished in repeating cycles. It wasn't a tale. It was a transmission. The patterns were unlike any known language, but they followed an unmistakable logic. Mathematical fractals, ratios, and shapes that echoed structures found in quantum mechanics and biological systems. Some believed it was a message about the nature of life itself. Others thought it was a map, not of space, but of time. And then the signal stopped again. The light faded. The object dimmed to invisibility once more. But something remained, a trace of energy, faint but measurable. Earth's magnetosphere had shifted slightly, as though something unseen had brushed against it. Scientists dismissed it as coincidence. But in the days that followed, deep space monitors recorded faint echoes repeating the same ratio, the same pulse, not from the object, but from behind the moon. It was as if the message had been received and answered. Weeks passed. The chaos inside NASA deepened. Budgets were frozen. Personnel were reassigned. Officially, the agency cited strategic restructuring. Unofficially, insiders whispered of an internal division, one group seeking disclosure, another insisting on silence. In China, no further images were released. The observatory's website was taken offline. Its lead scientist, Dr. Lin, vanished from public view. But then, a private research team from Chile's Cerro Paranal Observatory detected something extraordinary. An object the size of a mountain, metallic, reflective, had detached itself from 3I/Atlas and begun moving independently. It wasn't drifting randomly. It was moving toward Earth. For 48 hours, the object's path remained stable. Then just as quickly it altered course, veering away, as though satisfied. By the time it passed behind the moon, it was gone. And with it, the original 3I/Atlas vanished too. No trace. No debris. No radiation. It had come. It had watched. And then it had left. In the aftermath, something subtle changed on Earth. For the first time, humanity understood what it meant to be seen by something far older, far greater than ourselves. No announcement was made. No confirmation came. But the world's space agencies fell eerily silent. Missions postponed. Budgets reassessed. Eyes turned inward, as if preparing for something they couldn't describe. Because once you witness the universe look back at you, you can never pretend it isn't watching. Today, astronomers say 3I/Atlas has returned to interstellar space, vanishing into the black between stars. But every few weeks, a faint pulse echoes across the deep space bands, a whisper of radio energy matching the same frequency first detected in China. Always the same rhythm, always the same pattern. The hydrogen line, the universal frequency of life. Perhaps it's nothing, just cosmic noise, the fading heartbeat of a dying object. Or perhaps it's something else, a reminder that we were never alone and never unobserved. Maybe the visitor wasn't exploring us. Maybe it was checking on something it left behind. Maybe it always knew we'd find it once we were ready to see. In the end, what China saw through their telescopes wasn't just a mystery. It was a mirror, showing us what lies ahead when we stare too long into the unknown. NASA's chaos, the leadership collapses, the secrecy, they weren't signs of failure. They were symptoms of awe, of realizing that our place in the cosmos is smaller, stranger, and more fragile than we ever believed. Because every discovery changes us. Every revelation rewrites the story of who we are. And somewhere out there, drifting through the quiet sea of stars, the visitor we named 3I/Atlas still carries the echo of that moment when one small planet turned its gaze to the heavens and found the heavens staring back. For a moment, the universe held its breath. And somewhere, in the endless dark beyond our sun's reach, it still is.